I absolutely love what I do, and I hope that that comes out in each and every experience that others have with me. And so on this afternoon, I have to say, was thinking as Jackie was speaking about this seminar, Financial Resources for Your Business. I was thinking, what an appropriate time to have this workshop again. And I think that even if you've visited this workshop before, I appreciate that procurement works to bring this at least a couple of times a year. Sometimes we need to be reminded. Sometimes we have missed the original webinar, so this may be our first time attending, but I think that this is a great webinar, and I do not take it lightly. The people in the panel that we have with us on this afternoon, whom I would like to introduce, who has taken their time to say that they want to join this panel and provide information to help you. And I thought that this was a great time because, as I mentioned, it's October, actually almost November. Just next week will be November. We're going into the holiday season. I think businesses need some financial tips as to what is out there, what's available for them. So what an appropriate time to have this. And certainly thank you to Jackie, to Rodney, to the entire procurement team, as well as I know our new Chief Procurement Officer, Eileen Velasquez. Appreciate her leadership, what she has done thus far. So I will introduce our panelists who we have on today. We have, let me look here. All right, got it. We have Brad McConnell, who is the CEO of Allies for Community Business. Allies for Community Business, formerly known as Axiom Chicago, was very instrumental in helping many small businesses survive during this pandemic, when it was provided really over $10 million to the Small Business Recovery Fund for businesses in low to moderate income areas. That Small Business Recovery Fund was facilitated and helped the assistance from Allies for Community Business. So thank you for what you've done and your partnership with the City of Chicago for that. We also have Pamela Randall, VP, Senior Business Consultant, Minority Entrepreneur Initiative. Wow, that's a heavy title. I want to say that again, Ms. Randall. Ms. Pamela Randall, VP of Senior Business Consultant, Minority Entrepreneur Initiative at Jpmorgan Chase. And we also have Mr. Robert Esquivel, who is the Supervisory Lender Relations Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. And I know that every time we have a panel, someone is always looking for SBA. Certainly appreciate everything that SBA has not only done for small businesses, but especially during this pandemic. Thank you all for being here with us today. And if it's okay with everyone, we will go ahead and get started. All right, so let's start with you, Mr. McConnell. First, introduce yourself. Tell us about Allies for Community Business and what it does here in Chicago.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Appreciate that very much. Thank you to Department of Procurement Services for the invite. Delighted to be here, and I'm hopeful that I can contribute to the cause here to make sure that the small businesses participating understand all the resources that are available to them financially. So I'll spend 3 minutes just describing what we do, and that is on the basis of being a nonprofit community development financial institution. And so Allies for Community Business is based on the West Side at the Hatchery in East Garfield Park, where I sit here at the moment. Our mission is to provide the capital and the coaching and the collaboration that entrepreneurs need to grow great businesses in their communities. So let's briefly hit on those 3 things that we do. Let's start with capital. So we provide both grants and loans. The grants that we provide are in partnership with federal, state, county, and city governmental entities and private philanthropy, where we're trying to provide free funds to small business owners, particularly on the south and west sides of Chicago, because free money is the best kind of money. When there isn't grant money available, or in complementing those grant programs as we currently are at the moment, we also do lending as our core business. And the lending we do is between $500 and $100,000 in that space that's really hard for the largest banks to serve because of the economies of scale that large banks seek. And so we try to complement our partners who are much larger than us by providing the smaller loans that entrepreneurs are looking for in order to get started or to incrementally grow their businesses over time. So within the lending that we do term loans and lines of credit, and we underwrite a little differently as a nonprofit. So we don't use a credit score at all. We don't care about the value of your personal assets. We don't even ask. And instead, we're just looking to find people who have good habits and who are willing to take risks on building good businesses in their communities to create jobs and wealth in the neighborhoods that need them most. That's what we do. So I'll come back to that a little bit as we get further into the Q&A. The coaching that we do, the second of our 3 services, is free, one-on-one, and we meet you where you are. So we just do a 30-minute discussion to get to know you and your business, and most importantly, what you're trying to accomplish. What problems are you trying to solve today? And then we create a path with you using the methodology that we've developed over several years in order to build your business over the course of time according to what you who know your business best want to accomplish. And then those collaborative services, finally, that I mentioned, are in 3 parts. One, if you are a food and beverage business, we offer through our joint venture here at the Hatchery, which is the largest nonprofit food and beverage incubator in the country. We offer kitchen services and all the wraparound supports that you need in order to grow your food and beverage business over time, getting out of your own kitchen, but before you're ready for your own storefront. Second, we're a Chicago business center, one of the 8 in the city of Chicago, through which we provide licensing services to small businesses on the west side, so they don't have to go downtown to City Hall in order to get those services. And then finally, for our collaborative services, it's very specific to what we're talking about here, where we help business owners get their either minority or women-owned business certifications, your WBE or your MBE certifications, and then connect you to those big institutional buyers who are looking to have the things that they need to buy be going to local businesses in our own communities. So we work with the hospitals on the west side, we work with, say, the University of Chicago, those kinds of large institutions who want to make those purchases and just need to find the entrepreneurs in our communities who are ready to provide the services that those big buyers are looking for. So that's our capital and our coaching and our collaborative services. And we'll talk more in detail about that as we go.
So Brad, you spoke a lot, but I'll tell you where I stopped is when you said that you do not look at credit score. OMG. And you know, of all the times I've heard you speak, I don't even know if I've ever grasped that. That is such an important point, especially for residents of Chicago, where we know that we have some underserved communities who have great business ideas, but unfortunately may say that they have some trouble with their past that they have done in regards to credit. That is a huge deal, huge. It certainly speaks to why you are a not-for-profit. So I know that you are able to do some things because you are a not-for-profit, which is why I love this panel, because it's a great balance, not-for-profit, profit, as well as the federal government. So thank you very much, Brad. Great information. And now we will go to you, Ms. Randall. Tell us the same question, a little bit about yourself and how Jpmorgan Chase helps small business owners here in Chicago.
Absolutely, and thank you, Madam Treasurer, for giving me the opportunity to be on this wonderful panel. This is actually something that I enjoy. I'm excited about this. You know, we do this typically once a quarter, so excited to dig into that. And, you know, just from an introductory perspective, so I am actually a senior business consultant with Jpmorgan Chase, and we, as a part of the Minority Entrepreneur Program or Initiative, actually been involved with Chase and previous organizations back to the first Chicago days, just to give you a perspective of, you know, the length of time that I've been in banking and really been, you know, focused in this work. And so our initiative right now, which is really a program that actually started as a pilot, but is now a full-blown program that is really across the country, is to provide minority entrepreneurs. And that tends to be, if we look at intentionally focused on our Black and Latinx population in under-resourced communities. So from a Chicago perspective, that's typically the south and the west sides of the city. And the focus of this is to provide these entrepreneurs with access to information, resources, opportunity and potentially capital to help them grow to size and scope so they can hire more folks in the community to really create this sustainable system. And as a part of that, what we're doing is providing mentorship and coaching to business owners, as well as partnering with key organizations like Allies for Community Business that really has, taken the opportunity to work very closely with this sector, knowing the ins and outs of it, being able to do things that we may not be able to do from a traditional standpoint because of the fact that we are, as you mentioned, a for-profit institution. But the goal of this initiative is truly to make sure that we're helping these entrepreneurs kind of close in the gaps so that they can scale their businesses. We've been around for actually a year now. The program officially launched in October of last year, and we've made some substantial progress during that time. But I like to say we're continuing to kind of build out, but really looking forward to be able to dig in and answer any questions that business owners have.
And so I want to make certain, because on this slide, we do not see the name of that initiative. So I just want to repeat it for those that are listening. It is called the Minority Entrepreneur Initiative. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so great. So please do your research on that. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you. And lastly, Robert Escovel, Mr. Escovel, you can go on. Same questions.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. Let me start my video so this way we can see each other and understand.
There you go.
Hopefully you can see me.
We can.
Again, thank you, Melissa, and thank you, DPS, for inviting SBA for today's panel. And this is actually one of my favorite panels too. And I'll explain a little bit more why I love this panel. First of all, just a little bit about myself. I've worked with the SBA. I actually worked out of the Illinois District Office in Chicago, and I've been with the SBA for 33 years. Prior to working for the SBA, I actually was a banker. So I know the ins and outs as far as the financing and the needs of the small businesses. So what is SBA? SBA is a small federal agency. It started way back in 1953 for the sole purpose, as I usually put it, for helping out small businesses. So we do have a mission in order to do that. And our mission is simply to help businesses get started, grow, and expand. Now, as I say that, it is simply as here's our mission. We do a lot of different things to help out small businesses to accomplish that. And one of the three areas, though, that we really focus on, or I should call them our key areas, is counseling, government contracts, and capital access. So when I talk about counseling, the counseling that we have works through our resource partners, such as SCORE, our Small Business Development Centers, SBDCs, also our Women's Business Development Centers, WBDC, and our VBOCs, Veteran Business Operating Centers. They offer free one-on-one counseling and technical assistance. This is very important for small businesses, and I feel it's really urgent that they use this type of resources because this makes a successful business. Also, talk about one of the other areas on government contracts. We have an 8A program, general contract area, that offers assistance and guidance on how to submit bids on government contracts. To me, this is really important for small businesses because it opens up the doors for them to go beyond as far as what the regular storefront type of business is, and being able to sell those same goods beyond as far as just the neighborhood. So this, as you know, the federal government is the largest buyer of goods and services in the world. They actually have probably around, they have to offer around $500 billion worth of contracts each year. And with the SBA and the AA program and all these, as far as the federal agencies, their goal is to at least set aside 23% of those contracts to small businesses. Last but not least, we have the SBA loan programs that meet the needs of the capital for small businesses. There's an array of as far as small loan programs that we have, SBA loan programs that we have to help out the different needs of what the businesses' needs are, such as our 7A program, which is a guarantee loan program that goes up to $5 million. And also we have a 504 loan program that goes up to as far as also $5 million for that portion, but can finance loan programs or loan projects, excuse me, for up to 15 million. And then we have more, I should not make sure I don't skip this one, our microloan program, because Brad is on here and he's one of our great partners in the microloan programs. And those programs, Brad will probably talk a little bit more about, but are very essential to small businesses because it really doesn't meet the need or the offerings of our traditional lending. I should also mention, as far as in our loan programs that we have something that's called a cap line. And it's a program that's really geared towards, as far as this procurement type of conference, of contract financing. It's based more on estimated labor costs and material costs. And also, as far as the collateral, we're just looking as far as the contract to be the collateral for this particular type of financing. So I'll stop there and wait for additional questions and maybe go into more detail on any of these areas that you would like me to do so, and with any questions that we have from as far as our viewers.
Mr. Esquivel, I think you answered all the questions in one, but we'll try to see what other information you could provide, because that was a ton of information. I hope that our participants were listening and writing that information down. Thank you. So Mr. McConnell, back to you. Let's start on this question. We had our introduction, and I wanted to make a statement first before I get to the question. So some businesses have recovered from the effects of the pandemic, but it's really tough times in some sectors, especially service. The businesses are struggling with uneven business or constant hiring challenges. How can an organization like Allies for Community Business help small business owners manage the common challenge of cash flow, volatility, as well as build financial resilience for their businesses, even in a time such as this?
Yeah, it is the question, isn't it? First, I think we can help by listening and making sure that we're respecting where the business owner is and where the business owner intends to go with the business and how that should influence the way that we provide our assistance. Because there's no such thing as just a loan or a coaching session. We have to think in the form of the seat that the business owner sits in and help them on that basis. So after listening carefully to what the business owner is trying to accomplish, we will then provide either the capital they need or the additional coaching they need if they don't qualify for the capital that they require for whatever reason. So the capital, again, ideally is in the form of a grant. If someone is eligible for a program we are administering at the moment, and so we're administering the state's Back to Business program, that's $250 million. There are 3 different programs we're administering right now for the city of Chicago. Those are all open applications. And all of this is available on a4cb.org/grants. That's where all these grant opportunities are listed. And there is a application I should be clear about that is open to Westside businesses right now that is available until Sunday. And that's with Westside United, the collection of hospitals on the West Side. So that's first, like, get people the liquid free money that would help them to build their business that you don't have to pay back. Okay, if there isn't any free money that's available, then we look to either provide a term loan or a line of credit, depending on what's more appropriate for what that business owner is trying to accomplish. If you need to buy a piece of equipment that has fixed costs associated with that, then a term loan is appropriate. If, on the other hand, you're trying to front finance a contract where you're going to get paid in 90 days, but you need to buy the raw materials to facilitate the contract now, you need to pay your people to do the work now, but you're not going to get paid for 60 days. Then a line of credit is likely more appropriate there. And so in that way, we'll provide you with the dollars, but you don't have to repay the amount that you actually need, that you draw down. You pay interest on that. And that saves you interest costs over the course of time if you use that line of credit appropriately. So after we listen, we just then size it up and think about what capital will be most available and most smart to take and help you get that liquidity that you need in that way. Now, of course, as always, there are criteria that you have to meet. We can talk about that in a bit if you'd like. But that criteria is very different than the criteria that typical larger financial institution would impose, because we're a nonprofit, as you said before, and therefore we have different options and flexibilities.
Brad said, free money is the best money. I know that's right. Couldn't have been more simpler than that. As the young people, as they do the snaps, that certainly warranted that. All right, Ms. Brando, let's go to you. This is a good time, this time of year, the close as we come out of this pandemic, we hope. Good time to be looking for capital. Or is it a difficult time? Now, that's a good question. And second, can you tell us a few tips that business owners should know when they're looking for capital? And how does JPMorgan Chase help facilitate that process?
Yes, that is a great question, right? So let me kind of start with the first piece of it, as far as whether it's a good or bad time to look for capital. I really prefer to kind of evaluate this based on what are the needs of the business owner, right? Does it make sense for them to borrow? So first and foremost, as a business owner, you need to understand what your needs are and why you are interested in borrowing. Now, with that said, it's really important to ensure that you have a relationship, for example, with your CPA or with a local organization that's kind of guiding you through this particular process, along with a banker, so that they can take a deeper dive to understand, hey, what are your financials telling you? Are you able to borrow? What might be the maximum amount? What then will the funds allow you to do? And so I always kind of go back to, from a business owner perspective, truly understanding what the need is and being able to back that up with information and data to support it. And in some instances, it may be an opportunity to grow in a certain area by acquiring a new contract or purchasing some additional equipment based upon additional needs that the market that the market has outlined. And so ultimately, it really does come down to understanding what your needs are as a business and why you need to borrow. And then, of course, the financial institution really would then take a deeper dive and look for ways to help support you. And that kind of ties into the second part of your question, which is, what is Chase kind of doing to support that? The reality is that we have a team of bankers, of experts in small business. We have advocates within the market, community managers. Our particular role is a minority entrepreneur senior consultant, really then kind of allows the one team Chase approach to come into play in order to understand what the business owner's needs would be, and then typically walking them through the process. Now, interestingly enough, there are situations where we're not able to extend credit to the business owner just because it doesn't fit within our parameters. Therefore, we're able to partner with organizations like, Allies, for example, in order to then have them take a look at it where their requirements may be broader than ours. The reality is that we also leverage, as Bob mentioned, like SBA, because if we do have a transaction that may not fit within our typical credit parameters or traditional credit box, then what we do is take a look at it to see if it fits within SBA. And if it doesn't fit within either of those, then we leverage other community partners in order to, one, work with the business owner to ensure that they can gain access, or two, really help them understand if it's no, it means no, not right now. But what can you do ultimately to turn that no into a yes? And so the tools that we have to support them around cash flow management and infrastructure, and ultimately building those important relationships, will help them as they prepare for borrowing.
Randall, this is good information because a lot of people think JPMorgan Chase, being a large institution as it is, would not provide that type of support. So to hear you speak from that aspect is very important. Thank you. And then, Mr. Escobar, we'll move to you with our question. Wait, oh yeah, that you were next. I was like, wait, are you next? We know that the SBA was key, really was key in helping small businesses stay afloat, really in the beginning of this pandemic. What programs or resources does the SBA offer now to help small business owners?
Well, thank you for that question, Melissa. And as you know, we started off helping out small businesses due to the adverse effects of the pandemic back in April of 2020 with our economic injury disaster loan program, EIDL loan, as we call it. But then later on, we followed up with some additional help for small businesses. Our payroll protection program, PPP loan program. And again, you know, I said this is like my favorite as far as seminar and webinar that they have, only because of the partnerships that we have on here. Chase Bank was one of our big as far as providers in there, and worked along with us in delivering these the PPP loans to small businesses that very much needed it. And along with the PPP loan program, NIDA loan program, we had the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, RRF program, and also the Shutter Venue Operators Grant program. So a lot of these programs were given to help out small businesses during the pandemic. So now, for the most part though, these COVID loan programs have ended. So your question, what do we have now for small businesses? First of all, we still have our regular 7A loan programs and our 504 loan program and our micro loan programs. Those are probably the three as far as biggest loan programs out there for the SBA. But we still have the COVID-19 EIDL loan program that will be very beneficial, in my point of view, for small businesses still feeling the effects of the pandemic. So what I'd like to do is just quickly just go over as far as the update regarding as far as that particular loan program. So as of September 8th, 2021, we have the new, as I call it, COVID EIDL policy changes that have taken effect and entailed as far as some of these particular updates. First of all, the maximum loan cap increased from 500,000 to 2 million. Also, the use of funds has expanded to include payment and prepayment of business and non-federal debt, and as well as far as prepayment of federal debt. So this is something that wasn't allowed for in the past, but has been expanded. Also, we used to have a deferment period of 12 months, and that has now been extended to 24 months for a deferment period for all loans after originations. And also regarding as far as affiliations, it helps it expand a little bit more for businesses that have more ownerships and make sure that as far as that all their affiliations have access to this program. So again, you know, this is a program that has gone from 500,000 to 2 million. And one thing I do want to mention to make sure that people understand how this program works and why it's beneficial to them is that the term for this program is for 30 years. So we understand that this is a working capital loan for as far as operating business needs. And it's really not easy for a small business to get a working capital loan beyond 3 years. So they have a 30-year term. And on top of that, a 24-month deferment makes it easier for as far as these cash flow trouble period of times to be able to pay this loan back without any problem. Of course, they can pay the loan off ahead of time if they show recovery a lot quicker than that they need to have this as far as terms made up for. So again, this is an excellent loan program. I think this will continue to help out small businesses. I should mention the application deadline for the COVID EIDL program ends December 31st. So I wouldn't wait till the last minute. I definitely would look as far as applying for this loan if you actually have some needs for it. Thank you.
Great. I was writing that down. December 31st deadline for COVID EIDL program with the United States Small Business Administration. Thank you so much. Helpful information. All right. Now, Mr. McConnell, let's come back to you. This year, my office has experienced more than ever the real benefit of partnering with Operation Hope, Hope Inside, where we have been really working on good financial coaching. And I know that Allies for Community Business provides coaching as one of its key services as well. Can you talk about the value of coaching for the typical small business owner and what that experience typically looks like?
Yes, and Operation Hope's excellent. I think we characterize this in two ways. There's business coaching on making sure that you have the basics in place and then the more sophisticated things in place as you grow in order to make sure your business is going to be successful. Related but distinct is financial coaching, which is for you as a business owner and making sure that your own personal financials are in really solid shape and you're managing really effectively the cash you have available to you individually. So I think it's almost goes without saying that in order to be a successful business person and have the confidence to take the risks that are necessary in order to grow a really sustainable business, you really need solid personal financials upon which to build. And your credit, for example, is going to largely be reviewed based on you as an individual in the beginning before you have enough experience and you have enough tenure in your business to then use your business statements and growth and forecasts as the basis for securing additional capital. So you just have to have both. And that coaching is crucial in both ways. So specifically for the financial coaching and the way that Operation Hope, Allies for a Community Business, and many others do, what we're really trying to do here is just make sure that any decision that a business owner as an individual person makes is always on the basis of figuring out how to make sure that you have sufficient cash available for your needs while minimizing the amount of interest you have to pay to anybody. And so that's liquidity management at its core, and it's tricky in order to make sure that you're also investing in your business at the same time. So we spend a lot of time with folks to make sure that they are able to get that tricky balance right so that they have healthy personal financials and then eventually really healthy business financials as well.
Excellent. And I think that I hope the small business owners that are listening understand the importance of coaching and that support that is provided. And that is something that we heard today, not only from the not-for-profit Allies for Community Business, but we also heard from the for-profit Jpmorgan Chase. Ms. Randall, as we talk about Jpmorgan Chase, we know that a lot of support for small businesses over the last year has also come from private sources like Jpmorgan Chase. And the company has been active in helping to fund underserved small business owners for years. Can you tell us about some of the company's philanthropic efforts to help support vulnerable and underserved small businesses through your community partners? And I know you spoke a little bit about that earlier, even speaking about Allies and Allies for Community Business and that partnership. But are there any success stories that jump out at you in regards to the strength of that community partnership?
Absolutely. Another great question. So, first I would say that, we've had an ongoing commitment to philanthropic efforts over the years throughout, within the firm and outside of it, obviously. I think that, our efforts have really been focused on intensifying the relationships that we have and ensuring that we're supporting organizations like Allies that work with business owners day in and day out. And so wanting to be able to ensure that these resources are really focused and hitting the communities that need them, that really need the access most. We're looking to continue to partner with CDFIs. I know we've talked a lot about Allies, and Brad is a great partner. In fact, we typically, our teams talk probably 10, 12 times a week at minimum, right, in terms of ensuring that we're keeping the ball rolling. But in addition to that, we also work closely with companies like LISC and IFF that are also CDFIs and provide different forms of capital as well. If we look at this, though, from a success standpoint, I think about a couple things come to mind. One is the partnership that we have had specifically with LISC that has allowed us to then have business owners that might not qualify from a traditional standpoint and already have, for example, real estate space, either buy the location that they're at or look for a location or property to purchase. And so we've had success in being able to create that partnership because our philanthropic efforts then fund organizations like Allies and LISC and IFF, and then they in turn are able to lend those funds back out from a community perspective. So we had success in that particular area. And also we've the other opportunities that really kind of come out of it, which definitely includes Allies, or businesses of all types. It's not just one particular industry. We've had success with restaurants, for example, helping a business owner that was renting space for years then purchase that particular facility. In addition to that, we've also helped a barber shop We have helped a technology company. We've helped a pest control company. So those are some examples of the successes that we've had, over the last year. But one of the things that has really been beneficial is understanding that the lines of communication are open. The mentorship and coaching that these business owners are getting is critical. Again, I like to say, if it's no, doesn't mean no forever. It's not right now. And so working closely with those organizations and with Chase in order to help the business owner really do the homework necessary in order to improve their financial position so that we are able to lend to them. The last thing that I would say around this is that, if we look at the success that we've gained from this particular initiative and the partnership that we've done from a philanthropic effort, one of the things that we're finding is that, each business owner may be different, but there are core things that are relevant throughout. The relationships that they have, the relationship with a bank, the relationship with the CPA, the relationship with an attorney, really ensuring that the core opportunities and infrastructure that they need is in place. And that's something that Allies really does a great job at, in making sure that the tires are kicked to ensure that that foundational level is there so that the business can then scale.
And what I like, Ms. Rhonda, when you gave examples, you spoke about barbershops, beauty salons. We call those, that's the real backbone of the community. You talk about ma and pa shops. A lot of times people think that these programs apply to large businesses. And so I appreciate this question that you just answered, because you really hit home with talking about small organizations that we have plenty of in the city of Chicago. So very appropriate. Mr. Esquivel, this SBA recently announced some changes to its fee structure for SBA-backed loans and other changes that make borrowing more feasible and attractive for entrepreneurs. And you kind of spoke about this in the last question, but can you talk specifically about those changes to the fee structure and what that means for SBA-backed loans?
Sure. Thank you for that question. And it's I always smile about that, because one of the things I always frown or cringe a little bit about, as far as that there are fees associated with our loan program, and so I usually try to shy away from that topic. But we know that as far as those fees are necessary to fund our program. In fact, most of as far as our general loan programs, are considered zero subsidy, meaning that taxpayers' monies are not used to fund these programs, which is fantastic. But I also talk about and went to small business owners and say, hey, SBA is having a sale this year. And again, we're having our sale for fiscal year 2022. So what is it? And starting October 1st is our fiscal year. So starting October 1st, 2021, any loans that are $350,000 or less, both the upfront guarantee fee and the ongoing fee to the lender will be waived. So what does that mean? First of all, that means that for loans of $350,000 or less for small businesses, it's going to make it more affordable for them. Typically, when you're looking at a $350,000 loan and our regular guarantee fee, you're talking about $7,000 to $8,000 in fees. Again, a great savings to small businesses in this fiscal year that we're having, the waiver for fees for, again, loans of $350,000 or less. The ongoing fee to a lender is typically around a half a point, and this is paid on a monthly basis. So what does that mean? Again, this makes it a little bit more appealing for the lender to do. If the lender is willing to do this loan for a small business that's looking for a loan of $350,000 or less, that means more capital will be available to small businesses. So that's why it's really important. So when a lender takes a look at a loan and they're doing a loan for maybe 3 years, but they can do also maybe a 10-year or maybe even up to about 20-year loan, this fee will be waived for the duration of that loan for that lender, making it more, again, not just appealing for them to do a smaller loan, which also then make it more appealing to do a longer term loan for small businesses. So it makes it the cash flow, again, a little bit more easier for them to use. Also, I should mention that for any express loan made for a veteran-owned business, the upfront guarantee fee is waived. Now, keep in mind, express loans have been now permanently increased from 350,000 to 500,000. So waiving the fees beyond the 350,000 is made possible for a loan made to a veteran if they're using the express loan program. So again, in general, what this means for everyone is that it makes it more affordable for small businesses, and it makes it more appealing for lenders to do smaller SBA loans.
Excellent. And I see that, first of all, saving $7,000 to $8,000 can really matter a lot to small business owners. So that is great information. And if you did not know that, thank you to Mr. Escobar that we heard that first here. That's one of the advantages of being a part of these workshops. I see that we have the slide up for questions. So please type them in the chat if you have questions. We're going to move to our final questions for the panel that we have. But if you as participants have questions for the attendees, for the panel, please make certain you type it into the chat. All right, moving down, I guess I'll move to like the last question, if that is okay with the panel. What is the one important resource that your organization offers that you think is least well known? And if you want to piggyback on the question that I missed, there's one question that I was going to ask, and that was so started with you, Mr. McConnell, like what value do you see when entrepreneurs come together to share knowledge and collaborate? You may have hit on that. If you wanted to add anything to it, please do so. But definitely the last question of what is the one important resource that your organization offers that you think is least well known?
When we bring entrepreneurs together in order to do sessions where we have a group that we work with at once, usually we call those allies in your neighborhood, rotating around. We'll get back to those as soon as the pandemic allows. What we find is that we introduce those discussions and the entrepreneurs essentially solve each other's problems because they're all in this together in some respects, even though they might be competitors during the day, because being an entrepreneur can be lonely and it can be very tough because a lot of entrepreneurs don't have a lot of just sounding boards, mentors to bounce ideas off of in order to deal with tricky business problems that are in front of them that particular day. So we do our best to make sure that happens as frequently as possible. So as many entrepreneurs as we can find in our communities, know other entrepreneurs in their communities that might not have known before, who might be going through or have already gone through similar business or personal challenges that have to do with the business in a way they can help each other. So we believe in that very, very strongly. With respect to like what people might not know about us, I'll highlight our credit policy, which has been brand new as of January. And again, the core tenets here that make us a little different are that not only, as I mentioned before, do we not use credit score at all, we don't care about the value of your personal collateral at all. When we're evaluating loan requests up to $25,000, again, different than the $100,000 max, but up to $25,000, we're only asking 3 questions. We pull all this information directly from the credit report with machine reading algorithm to do this work for us so we can be really fast at giving you answers for your requests. And those 3 things are in the last 24 months, have you avoided bankruptcy and charge-offs over $500? In the last 12 months, have you had at least 1 open credit line? And have you repaid all of those outstanding payments on time? And finally, today, you have at least 25% availability on all your credit lines. So you're not just borrowing from us to go pay somebody else, but instead you're borrowing from us in order to build your business. If the answer to those 3 questions are yes, we don't ask any more questions. We just move to size your loan and move to close and fund. That's it. And that's different than we used to lend, and that, to my knowledge, anyone else does in the marketplace. So that's probably it, I think, in something that
it would be a lot.
Yeah.
Mr. McConnell, that's a lot. As I said, that's huge for small businesses, for entrepreneurs starting out. That is absolutely huge. So same question for you, Ms. Randall, as far as what is the one important resource that your organization offers that you think is least well known, but also if you want to piggyback on the question that we missed in regards to narrowing the racial gap in small business outcomes and what you are seeing as far as any progress towards change. If you've answered that, that's fine, but just wanted to throw that out there in case you had anything else to add.
Thank you. I would add one thing specifically around just the work and the progress that we've made over the past year. If we look at Chicago alone, we've touched thousands of business owners through delivering seminars, presentations, as I mentioned, one-on-one and group mentorship, as well as coaching. It really has opened up doors for business owners to help them grow to size and scope and really help them connect the dots to fill in the infrastructure so that they're able to get access to other or to opportunities that, for example, they may not have had access to before. The other thing is really the focus on supplier diversity and the tools and the resources that are out there to help them with MBE certification has been amazing. Since we started over a year ago, we're now expanding to 30 cities across the footprint, which is an amazing opportunity to really help businesses build a scalable business. If we were to kind of address your question around, what's the one resource that is probably least known for business owners, I would say our community centers. So, we have a new community center that is opened at 67th and Stony Island. It was rebranded. We also have community managers that support that throughout the market. And the goal of a community manager is really to be a resource to the community. So what they're responsible for doing is connecting businesses and individuals and organizations with financial health workshops, for example. They're also doing home buying workshops. We're leveraging small business opportunities around that. In fact, our Stony Island location will have a component where businesses are able to kind of come in, for example, and showcase their wares. Now, unfortunately, COVID has kind of put a halt to it, so we haven't been able to move forward with steam ahead. But what the goal is with the community space that we have, we're opening that up to the community so that they can come in, right? So removing the walls of traditional, banking and making sure that we're including the community throughout the process. And, we've started to get a lot of traction around that as things continue to open up. I believe that, there'll be just more opportunities for small businesses and other organizations to kind of come in and take advantage of what we have.
I said, wow, while I was muted. Okay, great. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, same question for you as we close. Mr. Esquivel, same question. What is the one important resource that your organization offers that you think is least well known? And also, of course, as we spoke about equity, what is SBA doing to help narrow the outcome divide, the divide and inject more equity into the small business landscape?
Thank you for that question, and it's a very important question too. So SBA feels that the underserved markets, veteran-owned, women-owned, minority-owned businesses really benefit most from as far as smaller loans. So that's when I mentioned earlier that we're focusing on trying to get smaller loans to small businesses because we know that, again, the underserved markets really benefit most from the smaller loans. So we try to make it more appealing for lenders to deliver those smaller loans, and ultimately it will be delivered to as far as the underserved markets. That's why, again, we focus on waiving these fees. One of the other things I have to mention is, is that we have a program that's called Community Navigator. It ties in community resources and the underserved markets. And as you mentioned before, here's something hot off the news. If you didn't know that about the waiver of fees, here's something else that's hot off the news. The Chatham Business Association was just named as a grantee for our Community Navigator program for here in Illinois. And CBA serves as far as the African American business community with technical assistance that's needed for successful businesses. And it's really important. We talked about technical assistance, and again, we provide it not only through as far as our typical traditional resource partners, which are small business development centers and women's business development centers, and also through our VBOX and in SCORE. But now added to that is our Community Navigator program, which is going more into the community. And we think that it's very, very much needed. That last question was a tough one though for me. When you asked as far as what areas that basically are resources that are really not known or least well known, I think are very important. And I just touched on it, is our resource partners. And again, The reason why is that with that technical assistance that they're able to offer, and mind you, these are counseling services that are offered one-on-one, free of charge. Small businesses can go there as much as they want and seek as far as mix and match between an SBDC score and WBDC to get as far as what they're looking for, the answers it's looking for, the technical assistance that's needed. That proves to be very successful for small businesses. The failure rate is a lot higher when a small business does not seek the technical assistance that's needed. So again, I think our resource partner is one of the resources that are very important that are out there. Another is our lender match. We have a program that's on our website that allows a small business owners to submit information about what their needs are for capital, and then they will get some sort of, as far as a contact back if there is an interested lender to let them know that, hey, we want to talk to you. And this happens in, again, a matter of minutes. What's nice is that you're not just going to your lender, that's your local lender, but it's available to all the SBA as far as eligible lenders to participate. So we're not talking about as far as the small, small lender that's down the street who's not regulated. We're talking about these are regulated lenders that have been approved by SBA that are on our lender match. The third, and I think most important resource is our website. We have a tremendous amount of activity on our website. There's a lot of information, valuable information. I just touched briefly on our SBA loan programs, and there you'll be able to find out all the details of our different loan programs that meet as far as the different needs that small businesses have. Also, training. Training is one of the things that small businesses often need, but because they're so busy, it's hard for them to get. We have online training that's available on our website. They can attend these as far as online trainings at their, as far as their time of where they're off their business, because they're constantly working with their business. And we understand that there's a tremendous amount of hours that they put into their business and leave very little as far as from additional, as far as progress and training that they may need. So again, we have that on our website, online training. So I'll stop there, but those are the three that come to mind as far as very important resources that, to me, I think are not very well known.
And I hope from today that the participants know to follow the organizations that we had today to make certain if there is other information. There certainly has been a lot shared today with Brad McConnell of Allies for Community Business, Ms. Pamela Rando of Jpmorgan Chase, and Mr. Robert Escobar of the U.S. Small Business Administration. We certainly thank all three of you for being here today. Such great knowledge provided today. We certainly thank, again, the procurement office that continues to do these workshops year round. The Treasurer's Office, always look forward when partnering with you on this important topic, because we have to talk about how to financially secure our small businesses and entrepreneurs. So thank you all. Like we got through all of the questions.
Before we go, City Treasurer, I would like to thank you as well. This is our third one that we've done this year. We look forward to many more in 2022. And actually, I learn every time I'm sitting on these. Because I said, oh, I got one more person I can put on this panel that will be structured perfectly with this panel. As we talk, our wheels begin to turn and hear more options for our small businesses, and that's what we want to do. I also want to say, I know we got some questions regarding these various programs, the different guests we're talking about. We will make sure that we post them on our website where you find our PowerPoints. We'll list their programs and the links to their programs. So as the city treasurer said, we can have you go in and you can read more about them and become abreast of what's going on. So I want to thank all of you for participating. And as I always close by saying, stay safe, stay well, wash your hands, social distance, wear your mask, get vaccinated, get your boost, whatever we need to do so that I can see this workshop very well in our construction summit and vendor fair, where we can do this live with a huge audience. And I would like to get to that point one day. And so I want to say stay safe and stay well so we can do that. Have a great holiday and a great holiday season. Thank you so much, everyone.